I can start.
So I'm just making the introduction. Welcome to SUSE QE Tools Workshop. Today, Liv will lead through the session, and you're bringing us back to searching, right?
Yes. So I have a great search feature. I don't know if everyone here knows about it, so I guess we'll find that out. And also, um, I guess, yeah, to see where we're at, what we have, and what we want. And I'm looking forward to feedback there. Maybe this is even something that is an opportunity for someone to try their hands on. So some of these things might be easy to try for someone who's not that familiar with openQA when it comes to tweaks to what we already have. Yeah, so you should be seeing a couple of links in the chat. So we already have one ticket that lists kind of a few possible ideas. It's not currently on the backlog, so I guess you could see it as a list of things that might be interesting, and it's probably worth considering what's most wanted here to see what's really sensible. Um, and also put the Etherpad so we can take some notes on what people in the audience are coming up with and what maybe we think is more of a priority than other things for like real life use cases. So yeah, just let me share my screen briefly for the recording so you can get an idea what this is about. Yeah, this mentions things like keyboard searching and job groups and fancy things, but maybe you don't know yet what this actually is about. So I suggest we jump into the actual search feature on openQA OpenSUSE.org. Please let me know. Can you see my screen fine?
Yes, looks good.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is actually in the top right, you see the type to search box. And what you can do there is search. Let's see, what do we want to start searching for? What do we start with? Any suggestions? Anything you'd want to search for to start with? Let's see, maybe we're interested in WSL. Why not? Let's see what happens if we search for it. 11 matches found. And there's a little description here that might be quite useful, which says the search is looking at job templates, it's looking at job modules or test modules within the test distributions by file name or source code. I guess it might be reasonably clear what this refers to. If not, maybe to expand on it a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's good that this one mentioned important the terms, because it's like OpenQA specific glossary that we use here with job templates and job modules, and in particular newcomers. They might come up with a question like, do you have WSL tests in OpenQA? But they can't say, do you mean a job module or a job scenario or a template, or just mention of WSL in the source code itself. And of course, there are different places where this is mentioned. So this is why I think the search is a really good primary entry point.
Yeah, I think actually in the very original version, it didn't say clearly what it was looking for. On this was actually based on someone seeking to find out what it's what it's looking for. So, and also the fact that, for example, you can find things by file name potentially, or if we look at the matches here, you can see one thing is matches is WSL and the Perl module file name, for instance, like the prepare WSL feature PM. And of course, you can also see, let's use a counter example where it's not in the file name. Yeah, so Windows base test doesn't have WSL in the file name, but it does have it in the source of the module itself. So you can, yeah, and also the first match has it. So both will be found if you're not sure where it's used. And of course, you can narrow down the search if you use a more specific keyword to only find it in the test code itself. Like if, for example, if we were to look for WSL version, I would guess we're getting fewer matches. Let's see. Yeah. So in that case, you would get, for example, all test code that is somehow using this setting somewhere. Or maybe this might give us a lot more results if we're looking at get required var. Yeah, actually just remembered, I think I was using this recently to look at uses of, was it Spurt? Because there was this deprecation matter of the Spurt function. So the search could actually be used here to see where that's being used and what code may be affected by an issue that's using the code. So I think this is quite nice. You can see all of the files that use this. And there's an incidental mention. I'll also put this in the chat if you want to try this at home. The search automatically gives you a URL so you can reload and keep the search terms or keep the tab open. And you're not losing your search keywords. Yeah, any questions so far?
No.
Let's see, maybe we can try something else. Let's see what happens if we look for a job group, since that should also work. So maybe look for ARMv7, maybe see what happens then. Nothing. I thought I should be able to find job groups in there. Or is this not implemented yet? Interesting.
You mean like just by the name of the job group?
Yeah, I mean, so it says job template, and I thought.
Yeah, it doesn't look in the job group. I think that's fine because, no, I mean, yeah, just click on there. I guess it's easy to spot where there's ARMv7. Okay, that's good. By the way, if somebody's interested in why had there been no build in this job group since months, then yeah, okay, well, this is for Leap. So because obviously development doesn't go on, so that's fine. We have some other 32-bit ARM tests in Tumbleweed job group. They are not executed because we are lacking one worker there. Plan to set up. Anyone interested in setting up that worker in the SUSE internal network? Reach out to me. Happy to hook you up.
Yeah, thanks for the shout. That would actually be quite useful. Yeah, so I can actually find the groups via the tests that they contain. So I guess that is good enough. But I wouldn't find the group itself, I guess. Maybe something to note down as a potential feature. And yeah, I don't know if you've already got the Etherpad open. I'm just adding ideas that come up here. And yeah, feel free to mention questions that come up, or if you feel like there's something you would like to search for, and we can try it out and see what happens. Ah, there's a question there. How about search in over test results? Do you have an example? Like, we can try it out and see what happens.
In the meantime, if you want, I opened a poll in the Jitsi poll section in the pop-up, and welcome to post your response there.
Sorry, I'm looking for an example.
Like, what happens if you type in openQA?
Let's find out.
Or will this kill the system because it's now
Well, it certainly takes longer.
in an infinite recursion?
Ah, but this, wow, that's 15,000 matches, but it was fast enough, I guess. So it's not too bad.
Right. So OpenSUSE test console openQA reviewed. Bootstrap.
Ah, because
those
it's just
are,
in the name.
yeah, perfect. So those are just the test modules by name. OpenSUSE means that's the main OS audit history of OpenSUSE. Distribution. I wonder if it's feasible to reach any other result than just within the test system. You look on that page for openqa / like, you know, no, wait, it would already match. You know, we have this openqa and openqa test distribution, and I wonder if it should, or actual test result.
I guess let's see. Let's go a bit further.
Yep. We have the 3 responses in the poll already. Yeah, would be happy to see more answers there. Ah, yeah, there it is. Right.
Yeah.
So you have,
yeah.
You know, just the next line, for example, that's the one after that. You know, openqa test openqa search py. That's a neat example because, you know, it's testing exactly what you're showing here.
Yeah.
And it's
true.
doing that with an Python test module.
I guess that is also an interesting question. I'm not sure if this searches Python test code as well.
Yeah,
I guess it's searching the files. What we find,
if it's taking a look within, I don't know.
How would I type it to find that out?
Yeah, let me see. So in search py, we have openqa mentioned. Like, look for openqa search results.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, it works apparently. Nice.
Why do you
Of course,
sound
it
so?
doesn't.
Why do you sound so surprised? You shouldn't sound that surprised.
Well, I'm excited to see, but you know, we have a lot of little fixes, and
yeah,
you know, it's nice to see things work in production. So
okay.
I'm excited.
On the previous page, could you go to the end of the page?
see.
So from the end, what you see there, you see that it mentions a job. That's a job group, OpenSUSE Tumbleweed, right? And in there are
I guess these are modules?
No, they're not modules. Those are scenarios with a name.
Ah, right.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
that's from the job templates. Yeah.
yes,
okay.
and you can see
Yeah.
that 2 boxes above, the openQA is also a job group, and there we have the additional description for each scenario, right? For example, for the first one, it says in the end this uses Nginx instead of Apache 2, and the next one is running openQA itself from Git, and so it's a description for the complete scenario. If you go up a little bit further, then you can see that those are actual scenario names, like OpenSUSE 42.2 net x86-64 build 283 other DE awesome and so on. So it's not specific jobs, but they are scenarios. So there must be jobs going by that scenario. So you would be able to look up the according job from those strings.
Yeah, I guess it'd be nice if that was something I could get to from here, like.
Yeah, sure. Like not immediately show billions of jobs from the jobs table, but be able to go from here to the next step where it would look up dynamically on demand. Going on. By the way, Liv, do you also see the poll results?
Yes.
Okay, so I have them on the screen. Right. So one person answered never used because I don't need it. Perfectly fine. If you don't need it, even better. 2 answered, I did not know it existed. That's very good that we have some answers here. Otherwise, that workshop would be kind of redundant. Nobody sees the search as an awesome feature. That's maybe something we could work on. And then 2 answered yes, but it did not help me. I would be particularly interested in the last point. Like if anybody wants to say either from the voters or anybody else to say, where do you think, where did you try the search and it couldn't help you, or where you don't use the search because there's something else that you would need related to searching in openQA?
I answered like this, and it's completely related to my last question about the test results.
Yeah.
I would like to have a search where I can see or look for failed jobs that failed in a particular test, like the one that I posted in the chat.
Yes.
That's just a random one that failed, and the message, fail message below, and I would like to put the fail message in the search box and find all the failed tests that failed at that step.
Yes. It's very good that you mentioned that. That is actually something which is already done at other places. What we can do is we can use the generic test route with a match parameter to only look for test suite names, but not by the failed module that you reference. And you have the test overview page there. It's possible to find to look up by failed module. Let me see if I can provide you an example.
But that wouldn't find this error message, would it?
Yes, and then exactly. And the third is about looking into which would actually be step results or even parsing the log file completely, which is, which can be kind of expensive. I mean, here we have it as a module result, right? So it's more accessible than needing to parse megabytes of the log file. So
yeah, I wouldn't go that far.
yeah, right. So the next obvious step would be to say, take a look into test modules or step results and be able to find those. So far the search is only looking into already multiple things. So yeah, that could be that's a neat idea for improvement.
Yeah,
So
and I think it should already have some access to modules. It's looking at the source of
yes,
the modules at least, so it should be able to check what the result of the
right.
modules is.
Lev, would you be as brave as trying to find the implementation and see if we can, give some pointers to anybody that might want to look into implementing that?
Yeah, give me a second. I'll find it.
Meanwhile, Ollie, I'm not sure if I understood correctly. You said it's somehow already possible, but I couldn't get the gist of how.
Yes,
If you're
I
able
will.
to,
Yes,
yeah,
if I'm able to find an example, I will show you. I
yeah,
just need
that
to
would be great.
try
Thank
it
you.
out. Oh yeah, I have it. So take a look in. I'm putting it in that. Listen there. Try this. Yeah. So it's it's a direct filter URL which should show you one job where this is failing. The same, and you can click on that filter box on this test overview page, and it shows you how that is done. You can do it interactively. Just that I shared the complete URL, which is a report of that.
Oh yeah, I remember doing that.
Okay, cool. Right.
Yeah, I totally forgot. Meanwhile,
Yeah, that's
thank
fine.
you.
So I think for because we're all human, so we are all going to forget. I think it would be cool if something like this could be linked from the search page. It could be maybe not immediately show the search results, but show a hint to say like, to look for test results where this module failed, click here from when you entered netns com IP IPv6 netlink in the search box. Or it could go in the help text, hover text search field.
Yeah, maybe that is a cool idea. I'm gonna add that to the Etherpad.
Oh yeah, cool. If you can note it down. Right.
Yeah,
By the
I
way,
really appreciate that.
okay. By the way, soon at SUSE we have Hack Week coming up. That means that to all of you, which are not Liv and not me, because it's a day job to do that, to all the others, that would be a cool opportunity to look into features like that one to implement. And we are really happy to bring contributors on board. So, we are happy to see pull requests or code suggestions coming up by anyone. And even if those pull requests are just, incomplete drafts showing the idea, we are happy to give you feedback. So, we cannot implement all those awesome ideas with the capacity that we have, but we always have enough capacity to review, give suggestions, and help people to help themselves.
And yeah, since you mentioned that, if anyone's interested in that, I'm happy to kind of organize, lead a project surrounding that, be supportive as far as knowledge of code might be. So yeah, you should already be able to see it on my screen, so we can take a look at some of how the code is being done. I think it's not something that necessarily needs a lot of openQA specific knowledge about how the whole WebUI is written, for instance. But if you generally have some Perl skills, for instance, I think there's this low-hanging fruit that you could look into with some pointers.
Yeah, I also think what could be done without even touching Perl, the API, or database access is some help help text or pop-up for the search field, where or some kind of dynamic assistant. So either HTML or JavaScript that could be applied here to make the search, which is a web feature, more useful, more accessible, and broaden.
Yeah, so let's take a look, I guess. Yeah, so as a general note, you don't need to mind this too much here, but this is part of um, the controller, aka the API implementation on the backend of openQA of the web UI. And it has currently a few functions in it that cover the search functionality. So searching Perl modules here, for instance, is what's looking for files, as is also mentioned in the comment. I guess it may not look that obvious if you're not used to Perl. Essentially, it's looking for the folders and then grabbing through them with an expression here that's using the keywords that have been specified, and then looking for file names. And it's collecting results generally in a structure that has an occurrence, and that basically says where did the thing come from. And what you'll also later see in the next example, there's something about the text that is the content of what has been found. So if we look at this part, which as you can see is essentially using git commands to search the source, and it's essentially using that to find out what's in the test modules. And this is also why it's pretty fast. Usually git grep is fairly performant. And so after that is actually looking at the results. So you can see here, it's preparing the results, and the contents part is where it fills in what was actually found, and what you end up seeing on those results where there's a text part in the result boxes. And yeah, one more thing just on the implementation. So there's a limiting of what's to be found there. So this is the cap logic here is so that you don't end up with millions of lines in there, because that would make it less useful. Here's the next part, which we also looked at earlier, which is job modules. And this is potentially where maybe the error search could be added. So it's looking at the job modules, which is in the database. So you see things like distry version, flavor test. So these are essentially the job settings as they are reflected in the backend. And it's going through each of the job modules and seeing what's in there. Contents here is what's stored as the script, aka the test code. And it's using that as the contents, if that's considered a match. And yeah, finally we have search job templates, which perhaps not surprisingly is looking at job templates, which is also in the database. And of course, to most people, you would think of this as YAML because that's how I usually store it. Of course, it's looked up as something else for performance reasons. But essentially, this is where it's taking these results from, looking at test suite names, and also looking at the contents of that. Yeah, maybe if I think we haven't really looked at more general features of how the search works, but this would be the more general parts. Like, for example, the basic Q argument, which is simply how the search knows what to look for. Like if you want to share the URL with someone, that's where it gets it from. One could, of course, think of other parameters if that's useful, whether that's for display purposes or further filtering. So this is where you would add that feature.
I think so far it's only like direct matches, no globbing or patterns, right?
I don't know what what you mean by globbing. I think the file search
It's like
does.
some pattern match. I mean, commonly we don't want to do full regex in all cases. I think in some cases it actually does that. Like for the test module file name, it seems like it would just pass on.
Yeah, I don't
as a
think it would
regex.
actually allow expressions. I don't think it would.
No, I see in line 114 search job modules that it's using the keywords in the like parameter, which goes into an SQL query. So it can be part of a longer string, but not regex, right?
Yes, partial matches should work fine. Yeah.
And
I think it might raise interesting questions if, like, you use a particular regex feature, and then we'd have to see how to apply that to both, say, file names and database results. I think one idea though that has come up before was to say, for instance, if you know specifically you're looking for job modules and nothing else, and that would make it easier to find things. Maybe there should be a way to specify that somehow, like using a special prefix, like you see that in GitLab or GitHub, for instance, that has things like that. Personally, actually, on other sites where they offer that, I don't use that much. I would probably rather look for a more specific search term if possible, but maybe that's a matter of what you're used to.
for the URL, what would happen if you use multiple Q parameters, like if you want to combine those in an OR?
I'm not sure if I've ever tried it. I guess we can find out.
Try to break a system.
Yeah, so I think I need to actually modify the URL to do that. So let's search for openQA and AH64. Let's see what happens.
Yep, Yeah. So
yeah, you can't actually see the difference, I think.
Yeah. Will you show it on your screen? I think the second parameter, the last parameter wins, overrides any, because it's also it's filled in the search box. That's what I see in the browser. You yeah, you see that.
Yes. Oh, but wait. I had a typo. Let me fix the typo before assuming it doesn't work.
Okay. Yeah, we can't see a URL, so you have to tell us unless you're sharing your ID.
So the second one wins, I guess. I'm pasting the URL I'm testing with, so it looks like it's just
Yeah, exactly. I tried out the same, so that's how it's currently working, and that's how it's doing.
Yeah, so if, of course, I can check what happens if I type both in here.
So you separate it by a space, looking for that, and it doesn't mention.
Yeah, it would probably look for something that has both in that order in it.
What a try regex? I mean, do a dot star in between a separation. So that would at least like look it up if both of those are in the same line, but either that doesn't work or it doesn't.
I have a feeling it's going to do a literal match. Oh, and
so rate limit exceeded.
Right. We have a rate limit just in case somebody is searching too often.
What? Then let me try while I'm logged in. I'm typing openqa dot star results, but also that doesn't find any.
Yeah, so what you can do actually, if I'm just looking for it, yes.
Right.
So
that's neat. Okay. So yeah, I would say also that's well defined. It's like a literal match for those characters, no special characters. But what if you now break it with a percentage sign?
Let's see if I can break it this way. It's taking a while. Certainly taking a while.
Oh, what have you done? What have you done?
Hopefully it's not as bad as what happened to the person who registered a number plate null on their car.
Well, try to put in that.
I mean, yeah, not specifically related, but I was watching a talk about this the other day, and it's a similar thing of let's see what happens if you do unlikely things. Apparently, null plates in the States gets you all of the fines that nobody else is paying for. But it works. Nice.
So, and there are percentage signs in there, but
yeah,
also seems to be a literal.
I assume it basically just took longer because there's a lot of results to go through, and it had to resort to searching all of the files individually.
And now drop table users.
Yeah, little Bobby tables.
Oh no, I just found.
And maybe it still executed that. I guess you need to escape it. Can you put in some backticks?
I guess I can put one and see if it explodes.
But that's a single tick, like backtick.
Right. Could explode, I guess. Yeah, I'm afraid our escaping works.
Bit boring.
Yeah, were there other cases anyone had in mind in terms of something that you were wanting to do with the search? Since I assume at least one other person selected the search wasn't helpful. I'd be curious if there's any other cases that could be added here.
Well, at least for me, the search was never particularly helpful because it doesn't serve the needs that I would like to have. So, to an example, search for Botman. Assuming that you want to search now the test runs that are related to Botman.
Mm-hmm.
When you say test runs, you mean like individual jobs?
Yes, or job groups. So
Well,
first observation, it takes really long. Second observation, I get almost 6,000 matches.
yes.
That's a lot.
Yes.
Third observations, I see mostly results that are related to the test code. And this is something that I can do much better in my own IDE or by a graph on my computer. What I would be more
yes, that's true. Just saying why we have that use case covered here is because
let me make my case
okay,
for you
right.
and the current state. So what I would like to have from a search that is integrated in the web UI is that I get a listing of the current jobs or the tests, and searching the source code or file names within the source code is at least for me a use case that I don't deem really as something that is useful in the web UI. I mean, it's a nice addendum, but it's the primary usage of a search in the web UI, which I personally would be interested is search for actual jobs or job groups as a prime example.
Yeah.
And you can do the same exercise by searching, for instance, AutoJAS. That will give you roughly the same results. I basically gave up after that.
That's correct. So we have already established why don't we search in the job groups, because so far job groups is one of the most limited areas, right? Where walking over the job group names by hand is, I would say, can be a bit too much effort, but still less effort than the other cases. Why have we not integrated job results from the beginning is, I would say, for two reasons. First, because we haven't considered that people also want to use that search functionality for job results when you can take a look for the /test route, which is like, top left, all tests, and you can look up tests from there. Yes, of course, search can be improved there a lot as well. Or the job group results, and then from job group results, the test overview page, like the one that Wilger asked about. I think it could be and the second reason why we haven't done that is performance reasons. Because, as you said, it's taking some time. Obviously, we are looking at all different kind of places, including the file system. So that can take some seconds for sure. I could think of making that more dynamic and more interactive, where you could limit, or maybe it's just showing the results one after another, and where the one which is quick to search for, like just in the database, returns immediately, and then the others later. So this is where I would say improvements on the side of just the web UI and the JavaScript code and the dynamic handling help.
But it's only half of the story. I mean, Liv, if you can go, for instance, to /tests on O3, on OSD, and let's do the same exercise there and search for the Botman test runs. Then if you scroll down, let's assume I want to have really a look at all the Botman test runs of the current snapshots.
Regardless of the result, right?
Yes, exactly. Then you type in Botman. The problem that you have here is that this is only searching the last 500 finished jobs. I do not know the state of O3 about this, but I do know that on OSD, this is not sufficient.
Yes, it is not. One workaround for the advanced would be to put that into the URL. So Liv, could you go to the bottom right and show us what's the oldest results there? Because that's really just the last 500 jobs on O3 and filtering within that, which is not
the oldest results.
Yes.
15 hours ago.
So that looks good. It's working kind of nicely on OpenQA OpenSUSE.org. I understand that on OpenQA SUSE QE, it's like 10 times more tests. So it would only take a look in the last hour or so. So, and it's very likely that it will not return the results that you're looking for or none, actually. Now, what you can do here is you can put into the URL the match parameter. So you would write OpenQA like SUSE QE test question mark match equals podman. I'm just executing it locally to see what that returns, and it returns the results going back 14 days. So I would say that should suffice. And you can filter by result.
Oh, that works. That works.
Yeah.
This is still OpenSUSE.org and it works.
Yeah, fine. So you're right. So you see that goes further down into the past because, you put in.
I don't know who is sharing the screen, but we can only see the web page, but not the URL bar. So I have no idea what you guys are doing at the moment.
I was just following what Ollie was suggesting, but I'm sharing the URL in the chat as well.
Yeah, that one.
Thank you.
So you put in a match parameter.
I find this interesting because my first thought would have been, not knowing what it does, that's simply what I type in the search box.
Yeah,
and
no,
I didn't do anything else except I see loads more results here.
Yep. So that's a difference. And if you filter by result already in the URL as well, you can now just click result failed and then open the URL again. And then it actually, no, sorry, that's still filtering client side after that. So yeah, I mean, that's the URL to share. It doesn't go even further in the past, but I guess that's okay. So Phoenix, does that help you a bit?
I don't know, honestly.
So that would be equivalent. I know that you are proficient with the openQA API. That would be equivalent to using the API and put in such parameters into the API call when looking up jobs.
I mean, okay, as a workaround to doing the same task, it might be a helpful thing to have there.
Yeah.
But ultimately, wouldn't you agree that such a feature would be actually really nice to have within the web UI without the need of doing
absolutely
a documented voodoo thing? And my argument being that I think the search bar as it is now would be for more people useful to focus more on the openQA job side of the results and less on the code itself.
Well, the reason why we came up with the search feature was really that people wanted to know which tests are defined. Okay, so like to answer the question, do you have any test using or covering Podman, right? And that question is simply answered. You type in Podman in the search field and you find, oh, thousands of results. So yeah, you do something with Podman. What in particular? Well, maybe it's already too many results to be able to answer that. But the original question can be answered easily. If you want to know the latest results, that wasn't part of the original question. And again, you kind of can reach it there. But no doubt, you're completely right that it would all be really nice and more streamlined and rather beneficial to either have the search field search for job results as well and better segment the results so that you can click into the next step and say like, okay, from all thousands of results, I'm only interested in results or the schedule. And obviously, it would also be really nice to link to the feature which we just showed here back and forth, so that maybe a little hint. Which
and that was super fast, by the way, right?
Yeah,
like with
right.
your URL hack, so that should be something that's easy to add to the search, I would guess.
Yeah, so all of that is possible, but that just to manage expectations, I don't see us in the core tools team have a capacity for that. But I would say all of those are areas which should be accessible to any, let's say, team external contributor. By the way, if you want to, I would be glad if you want to argue with me about our prioritization and say rather focus on search than, I don't know, migrating the infrastructure to a new data center. Who needs that or anything like that? Be very welcome to join us next week, because then we have the roadmap presentation and hopefully discussion where I would like to present to you what we are currently doing, what we have recently done, what we plan to do, and in particular for the latest part, you can challenge me.
Michael, go ahead.
Maybe one very quick thing on top of what Felix already mentioned. I also agree that if I would need to find something in the code of test, I would do that on GitHub. It would feel more, let's say, easy, and then I would be able to look at the history and so on why something is there, etc. But what I feel the need still is to find out if something is running, where it's running, and so on. So I want like to see a specific. I look for a Perl module, and I would like to see where this stuff is scheduled and to get the results. That's something I cannot easily get from GitHub, especially if this stuff is being scheduled by main PM instead of YAML schedule. But also YAML schedule can be very complex with a few conditions and so on. So it would be easier to find these things directly on openQA instead of like kind of manually following up the code to see where something is scheduled. So that's for me too would be a nice addition to the search.
And that would be similar use case as Felix mentioned, or do you have any other examples, like something you would be searching for if you could right now?
I think it sounded very similar to what Felix mentioned. So I have a Perl module, maybe something I'm just about to change. I would like to see where this thing is running and to see the results instead of seeing some content of Perl module in the code where I can search on GitHub as well.
Yeah, the idea for the search was also inspired by what can already be done on GitHub. There's one change though, is that a user of the web UI doesn't know that OS Audience History OpenSUSE is the distribution that they want to look. And also maybe they don't know the GitHub project, right? So the search functionality is searching over all distributions. This is why it also shows like the openQA and openKTest distribution, a different one. And it shows like immediately the result from the distribution, not needing to know where it is defined. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think that's just two completely different things for two also different kind of users. The one I think me and Felix are looking for could be a completely different search, for example, that is not searching in the code for, let's say, more external user, but it's more for developers and so on who would like to find where stuff is running, get results, and so on. That might be a completely different thing.
Well, I wouldn't make it completely different. I would say if it just says search, then you should be able to search for all of those points and then be able to segment and go further from there.
Yeah, I think this is. I get the impression, besides this new type of results, having some kind of, look for code only or look for results only would make it easier. Like if you have loads of results. I don't know if there's a way to structure or sort the results more usefully without having, say, the distinction between code and other results. Or maybe there could be some, like, we have fancy features like collapsing results in the web UI and other places. Maybe that could be something that helps here.
Right. I mean, I would say it's a rather common approach for in general, that you filter and you can use different match patterns and say what you look for and what to include and what not to include in. Good potential extensions. Okay. Right. I would like to wrap it up here. So, Liv, thanks a lot for leading us through all of that search story complex. And then happy and welcome to see you again. See you then. Bye.